Hello and welcome to Health Professional Radio. Thank you so much for joining us again. I'm your host, Neil Howard. I'm going to have a conversation with Mr. Chris Bradley this morning. He's CEO of Loki Therapeutics, and he's joining us here on the program to talk about Loki's proprietary awake strategy. It completely bypasses the major challenges faced by traditional immunotherapy approaches. Welcome to Health Professional Radio, Mr. Chris Bradley.
Hi, Neil. Thanks for having me.
CEO of Loki Therapeutics. Give our listeners a bit of background into your area of expertise and talk about your role there at Loki.
Absolutely. Happy to do that. So a little bit about my background. So I was raised by a family of physicians and so knew I had to pursue medicine in some form. That was sort of the prerequisite. So I ended up doing a undergraduate degree in neuroscience and cell biology with pre-med track. I realized at the latest possible moment that I wanted to help people, but I didn't want to be a practicing physician. And so I ended up doing a graduate degree in computer science and combined those two into my first company after my graduate degree called Mana Health, which was focused on data interoperability in healthcare. I ran that for several years, and we ended up selling to Comcast, which is an exciting journey. And during that time, I was introduced to the incredible technology that Dr. Claudia Gravekamp had been working on for over 10 years in immune oncology. And we agreed to commercialize that to try to get it to patients as quickly as possible. And that was really the foundation for Loki Therapeutics, which is where I'm working now.
Now, tell us a little bit about what immuno-oncology is.
Absolutely. Happy to do that. So, and I think this is a great way to also explain Loki. So traditional immune therapy, immune oncology, in a nutshell, the goal is, can we get your own immune system, the defenses that your body has naturally, to recognize and hopefully kill cancer before it becomes deadly, before it gets too advanced. And so the goal of immune therapy broadly, it's a number of different strategies to activate that immune system in a way that can then be leveraged and used against cancer. And so traditionally, what does that mean? It means, how can we teach your immune system that this stealth group of cells, these cells that become cancer, that are very good at hiding from the immune system, how do we teach it, your body, to recognize them fast enough? And traditionally, that's been a huge challenge, right? So logically, using your immune system would make sense, but there's been a number of challenges and setbacks in the industry that really taught us more about how cancer works and how immune therapy works and your immune system works. And so what we're doing at Loki is really we're taking some of the key challenges that have traditionally faced this approach to cancer therapy, and we're bypassing them with a completely new approach. So instead of taking that approach of teaching your body to recognize the tumor, we're really inverting the equation. We're making that tumor look like something your body has already been vaccinated against. So think something like tetanus or measles or mumps, that sort of thing. We're basically fooling the body into thinking it's tetanus, and the body knows what to do with tetanus and then goes in and kills that tumor.
If a person has stepped on a nail and they've had a tetanus shot, and then 20 years after this incident, a cancer develops, the tetanus shot is going to recognize this cancer in this person as tetanus rather than the cancer that it's becoming?
That's right. So basically, the way it works is there's two populations of immune cells. There's naïve cells, which are basically how your body learns to recognize new illness. Well, once you've gotten sick, that's how you avoid getting sick again. Those naive cells are trained, they're transformed into memory cells, and those cells you have for life. So the purpose of general vaccination is to get you those memory cells so that next time that you get scratched or you step on a nail, that tetanus is immediately recognized and killed by those memory cells. And so our goal and what we've achieved with our therapy is, instead of using those naive cells and training them against the cancer, by making the cancer look like tetanus or measles or mumps, we're actually activating those memory T cells for tetanus, measles, or mumps, as if you had stepped on that nail. So instead of stepping on the nail, the body's like, oh, I know what this is, this cancer, it's tetanus, and those memory T cells then go ahead and they activate a whole immune response, a quite complex immune response to kill those cells.
There's a lot of trickery involved here. If you're tricking these cells into thinking the cancer is something else, is there other trickery involved in the attacking of this cell? Is it actually killing the cell? Is it making it think that there are no more cells for it to devour to advance its cancer? What happens there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great question. So the reason we call the company Loki Therapeutics is there's actually a whole series of tricks we're using that normally is used by the cancer to succeed and thrive and eventually take over. Mm-hmm. We're using those same tricks against the cancer. And so there's several steps. So the first key step is, how do you actually deliver our therapy? And we're actually doing it with a attenuated, so a safe, non-pathogenic version of a bacteria called Listeria monocytogenes. And what that allows us to do is it allows us to carry our payload. Think of it like a truck. Mm-hmm. It carries our payload and actually selectively infects these very specific cells in your body that are responsible for suppressing the immune system around the cancer. So these cells are traditionally bad. They're called myeloid-derived suppressor cells. They're traditionally very bad because they stop your immune system from seeing the cancer. They're almost like a stealth coating. Mm-hmm. And instead, what we do is we actually hijack those cells and use them to get us specifically to the tumor and the metastases. So think of it almost like a Trojan horse. Mm-hmm. That Trojan horse is bringing us to the cancer. And then, of course, what happens is because they are suppressing the immune system at that point, it allows us to infect the tumor specifically and actually thrive in the tumor. So that's how all these tumor cells get infected, mm-hmm. is because they're suppressed. And then at that point, once it's inside, just like the Trojan horse traditionally, it opens up and out come the tetanus payload, just like the soldiers in the Trojan horse. Mm-hmm. And that tetanus payload is forced to the top of the cells that have been infected, the tumor cells. And so at that point, then the actual immune system response is easy because it says, oh, okay, this stealth that I hadn't recognized, well, we've gotten rid of that stealth coating and we've painted it red hot, fluorescent yellow. And at that point, then the traditional immune response follows.
What's the name of this process, this technology?
So we're calling it the awake therapy. So basically to reawaken the immune system. So that's the name of our pipeline.
Now, is this effective in specific types of cancers, specific advancements of cancer cells?
Yeah, so this is the part that I was most intrigued by when I was introduced to this through Dr. Gravecamp. So actually, given this mechanism of action, this Trojan horse strategy, we think that it would be effective in a very large variety of what's called solid tumors. Mm-hmm. So generally, tumors come in two varieties, solid and liquid. So think blood tumors versus solid tumors like pancreatic or ovarian. And so we're really we're focusing primarily on advanced pancreatic and advanced ovarian cancers. But this mechanism could potentially treat any number of solid tumors, which end up making up 80% plus of the tumor types out there, and that includes metastases. So it's a really remarkable thing. Normally, by the time you have a stage 4 advanced metastatic cancer where the tumors are spreading, they're very difficult to treat because we don't know where they are. The solid tumor may be identified, but the metastases that spread aren't. But by using these myeloid cells, these Trojan horse cells, they actually bring the therapeutic specifically to those metastases beyond just the solid tumor. So we think it's able to not just do a wide range of solid tumors, but also advanced and metastatic cancer, which is obviously the most serious and deadly form and the most advanced form. So that combination, we're very, very excited about the potential for this therapeutic.
Chris, where can our listeners go to learn more about Loki and its the Awake platform that we've been discussing this morning?
Yeah, so we have a lot of information on our website, which is www.lokitx.com, TX short for therapeutics. Mm-hmm. And we have a lot of information more in depth on this mechanism, which is a novel approach. and more information on the team and the actual pipeline and everything. So yeah, would love to direct people there for more information.
Chris, thank you so much for joining us here on Health Professional Radio. Lots of great information.
Neil, thanks so much for having us. It's been great.
You've been listening to Health Professional Radio. I'm your host, Neil Howard, in conversation with Mr. Chris Bradley, CEO of Loki Therapeutics. Audio copies of this program are available at hpr.fm and healthprofessionalradio.com.au.